Hello, everybody, and welcome to another My Music. Now, you know, as well as I do, that when it's just me on the screen right at the beginning of one of these, it means one thing and one thing only, which means that I've got more than one guest coming into the studio, which means that I have to make room for them. So all of the advertising paraphernalia that's around me now has to disappear. That will happen as soon as we get back from this lovely little video from the Analog Trash people. Just hold your breath for a second, but only a second.
Keep on, don't stop. Keep on, don't stop. Keep on, don't stop.
And as promised, here are Tony and Martin come to join me today. And as you can see, we now fit fully onto the screen. That is a fantastic vinyl collection that you have there behind you, Tony.
Thank you very
Well
much.
done, sir.
That's not even all of it.
That's not even all of it. Great. That's what I like to hear. You've managed to take over lots of the house and completely upset other people with your vinyl and music collection. Yeah. Just a very quick question on that one. Do you find other people appreciate it quite as much as you do?
Not at all. Certainly
No,
not.
it's a nightmare, isn't it?
Yeah. You have to stop yourself geeking out sometimes, don't you know? So you sort of can't get too obsessed with it. That's the trouble.
Cool. Right, before we get deep into Tony's record collection, Martin, thanks for joining us as well. Martin, do you have a similar collection hiding away somewhere?
I do, but it's much better hidden. So that's how that works. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Rather epic amounts of a certain American band with a lot of makeup on as well, isn't there, Mark?
Indeed.
There
it
we
is.
go. Right. Guys, you are from Naked Without It. What are you making assumptions about there? I mean, you're naked without what, for a start?
All yours, Mark.
Well, we both have our own version of this story. So,
Okay.
so we met many years ago. This is our second time around doing this. And back in the day, we used to be in different full electric bands playing in the local scene. And at some point, Tony and I got together and started doing this acoustic thing. Just two of us used to go and rehearse in his flat and play the songs and do that kind of stuff. And so the name came from us being naked without the rest of the bands and the other musicians. So very much stripped back, just the two of us. So that's where that originally came from. But Tony also has his version of where the name came from.
I love this.
I just found the album that it came from as well.
There you go.
Okay.
There you are. So,
the Jane's Addiction album. Yeah.
There's a track on this Jane's Addiction album called Jane Says.
Yep.
And halfway through Jane Says, the line is that, have you seen my wig around? I feel naked without it.
Ah.
You see? So we can do this for ages. If you I can get links to all the stuff we talk about.
That is fantastic. I love the way that you managed to get a Jane's Addiction title in there as well, which is good. I don't think anyone's ever achieved that yet on this program, but I'm pleased to see that's now been broken by yourself. And, we've managed to pop the cherry on that one. So
we were saying the other week, of course, that the problem with Jane's Addiction now is it might not carry on much longer.
No, there you go.
Stuff going on.
Oh, and we have a cat as well.
Yes,
Oh.
He's trying to get in on the action here. I've taken up her seat to put my.
Is that a stray cat or is it a love cat?
Well, there you go. Stray cat. Can we cue that up? Yeah, there you go.
Cool. Who remembers the stray cats? There we go. Both of you, when you say electronic music, so you were both in electronic type bands before.
Electric
bands,
or electric bands. Okay, right. What sort of music were you playing in the past then, just to give people an indication?
I think I was in a band called Just Another Girl, and we were quite sort of, I would say we were a punky sort of band, but with long hair. So
Right.
we got a bit confused
How
across.
does that work?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And yeah, we were much more that kind of 80s. I had a lot of hair and very tight jeans. That was of that time.
Yeah. You had the moves then, Martin. You had the
Yeah, I mean, you know,
all of that.
all of that. Yeah,
Yeah.
Martin actually had the wife beater at one point as well, didn't you?
it did. That was being worn. In fact, it turns out in the documentary we found this video of us playing back in the day, and yeah, there's some very questionable clothing choices going on there. It seemed like a good idea when you're 19, but not so much.
Do you know what? Clothing choices when you're young and in a band are a mysterious thing. I was in a band called the Colourful People. We were sponsored by a fabulous clothing brand called Global Hypercolour. I don't know whether you remember that from the
The
period.
ones used to change colour when you sweated in them.
When you sweated in them, which is disgusting and actually looks disgusting. And of course, when you're playing on stage, you do sweat profusely. So it was just kind of a horrible thing, full stop.
Great.
You know, thank you to them for clothing me over that period. At least, you know, one thing I had to say is I didn't have to go out and buy trousers or a t-shirt, which is, you know, as a student at the time as well, often very handy. Although I probably would have worn black if I wasn't wearing that. That's the thing. But we were called the Colourful People, so it was kind of living up with the times.
Could have been ironic that you just wore black. That would be.
What was it about the stripped back sound? You know, taking everything back to kind of a more of an acoustic feel. Certainly, you know, yours is the kind of music. If people haven't listened to the album yet, etc., yours is the kind of music that, you know, if you were wandering around a festival at any time of day, you will come across someone that's you know, making great acoustic music, and there's something about that as well. Do you know what I mean? That kind of just hangs in the air type of music that's absolutely wonderful. But what is it for the two of you that kind of you know, appealed about that kind of sound?
For us, I think we can turn up and do this, you know, now. You know, Mark, if we were closer, we could literally. We don't need elaborate things. We don't have to rely on drummers or bass players, which is always fun, isn't it? It's literally just the two of us who, you know, would just grab a couple of guitars and go play. We don't even need to plug in. Sometimes we have like a little PA set up, and we have in the past, like it's died on us, but it doesn't really matter. We just sing a bit louder, play a bit louder, and carry on. So it's easy to do. We did have a little wander around a couple of years ago. We went and did what I called the bandstand tour. So we literally went round a few
different bandstands around different parts of the country. Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah. I looked it up. You don't actually need to get it authorized. If you use the electric that's normally plugged into bandstands, then you do. You have to get the council's sort of permission, but if you don't, you can just get up and play. So so we did like 3 bandstands in a day, just sort of round by me, and yeah, it was great. It's good fun. And again, it was the same. It was a revolving audience, so people were just walking past, and then so every sort of like 5 minutes, you had a different audience that were going past, which was nice.
Now, see, I'm intrigued by this because last time I went to Vivery Park in Taunton, which is near where we are. And they have a number of bandstands there, but they've got chains on them across the entrance. And I wondered whether or not you could actually just skip over the chain and you can, and it's fine.
Yes, you can,
and nobody stops you. That's a great thing.
Not really. As long as you look confident about it, as long as you look completely confident, and as I said, I did check it. I'm sure there was. They are free to use. It's sort of like a public space thing. I'm not surprised there's chains on some of them. You know, you get your jobs worth park keepers, I'm sure, don't you? But with anything like that, if you look confident enough, you get away with it.
Don't play there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
the bandstand. It's not for people to get up and play music.
No.
What's it for then? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm told they can't. Yeah,
terrible. Absolutely terrible. No, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, it worked good.
Would you expand that further? Would you take that around the country? I think that would be great if you could get people to kind of chip in to help you out and
In
allow
the
you to do
summer,
that.
yeah.
In the summer, yeah, not with the weather as it is at the moment.
No.
My word.
Well, it's
We've
sorry,
just
mate.
had
It's the
massive
same.
flooding down there. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
you definitely don't want that to happen. There you go.
No, exactly. Well, I'm only up the road from you. I'm up at Weston-super-Mare.
Oh, right.
So yeah,
There you go.
Martin's in Chertsey in Surrey, but I'm up at Weston-super-Mare. So yeah, we had exactly the same weather yesterday as you did. It's horrendous.
It was horrendous. Yeah. So could we get you on the pier then, Tony? Next during the summer,
Well,
do you think?
No, the pier is very business-like. You even have to pay a quid to go on the pier now. Yeah, to even go for the privilege of going to play the slot machines or the 2p machines, you actually have to pay a quid. So yeah, I don't think they probably wouldn't take too kindly to us.
They'd allow you onto the rocks below.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, we can go underneath.
Onto the rocks below.
Oh, look, there's a band down there. Oh no, they've gone now. They've been washed away.
We'd be sunk away in the mud, probably.
There's an island, isn't there? Though I'm digressing, but there's an island just out from Weston where some people maybe you could sneak out there on one of their little trips and serenade people from the island. We could turn that into like a mini festival on the island, and maybe the council just wouldn't know. It'd be great.
That's right. Yeah. That's funny though. That's like there's one part of it that's, I don't know if it's the same bit, but there's one bit that's cut off. Like part of the day it's cut off, and the rest of the day you can get there. So maybe we could, Mark. We have to have a look at that one.
There you go. That's your
trouble is, we go out there, start playing, have a drink, and then forget to come back.
Yeah.
Was there anyone you wanted to sound like when you put this album together? When you put this set of songs together, was there any real inspiration? I mean, you know, the first time I heard it, I was thinking, I was going through. You know how you go through your record collection, you think, well, where does this take me to?
Right.
And there's like, it's in part a bit like that. Tesla did a really great sort of 12s bar type bluesy stripped back acoustic album. I don't know whether you
5-man acoustical jam. I have this.
That's right. And I was thinking it's a little bit Tesla, right? But it's also a little bit Violent Femmes, and it's a little bit. Do you know what? I just kept going on. I was just thinking, well, what is this? So where sound wise were you trying to get to?
Well, I always struggle with it a bit because it's always it's a bit too close. I never know what the songs sound like. I mean, I'll pick out a song and think,
I don't know what my album sounds like. I don't know what the songs sound like.
I pick out a song and I'll sort of think that's the one, that's the song. I mean, we played last weekend and somebody that hadn't seen us before came down, and we've been talking about like what the next single will be, and we just sort of ran it by Jane. Was it Jane?
Yeah.
Yeah, ran it by Jane, and she came up with like 2 songs that I wouldn't have chosen. So things like that are quite weird. But I mean, influence-wise for me, I'd sort of say there's bits of Frank Turner in there.
Yeah.
I've been listening to a bit of Ryan Adams lately as well, and I sort of think, oh, okay, maybe I can hear a bit of what we do in some of that. So maybe that's like an underlying influence that's come through. I mean, I love Rancid. I do love Rancid, and of course Tim and Lars have done like acoustic stuff over the years as well, and that's always sounded brilliant to me.
And I think what's funny about that is that we both have different ideas of how the song should sound. So Tony will play like the basis of it, and in his head he's got an idea, and then I'll do something with it, and he go, that wasn't anything like I was expecting it. But then we'll find, sometimes he likes it, sometimes not. But he tells the famous story of me making a song too nice, which was the complete opposite of what he had in mind. And so it's that kind of because we both come from different places of how we think something will sound or how we hear it in our heads. So it's quite nice, and we don't always do it together. So because we live 100 miles apart. So we send a lot of stuff through WhatsApp or whatever, and so Tony will work on his ideas and I'll work on mine, and then we sort of put them back together. And so sometimes it's a bit of a surprise for him, I think, when I send him some stuff and he's like, oh, that's what you've done with it. Whereas other times he's got a very clear idea and go, I can hear this melody in my head, work it out, and it goes there, and then we'll do that. So it's difficult to say who we try and sound like, because there's so many sort of
It's
different.
almost more interesting though that you're making this kind of music, but further apart, isn't it? Because as you said right at the beginning, this is the kind of music that if you were together right now, you could literally, you know, get some instruments out, put a mic up, and off you go. You know, this isn't the kind of music where, you know, it's complex layers of this, that, and the other, and you know, a little, you know, sequences here and you know, sound effects here, and just little, you know, nuanced noises here and whatever. This is stuff where, and don't get me wrong, the production on the album's tremendous, but it's the sort of stuff where it does, you know, you could just see yourselves at a festival walking by and whatever, and you go, oh yeah, this is the kind of stuff you just want to stop and listen to for a bit, right? Yeah, because there's just something natural about listening to two people sort of singing and playing acoustically. Yeah,
it's just the two of us. It's just the two of us. Two, like Martin says, two voices, two acoustics. We play live. That's all it is. So we have to make it as entertaining as we can, and yeah, generally we do. So yeah, that's the way it works.
And I think as well, we have that kind of upbeat vibe. I mean, you know, we play a lot of you know, nights with other sort of acoustic acts, and they're a lot more earnest often than we are.
Yeah,
that's earnest, great what they do, but you know, we're I mean,
we like earnest, don't we?
Yeah, we are two blokes playing acoustic guitars, but having a good time doing it. I think that's the thing. So, and I think that comes from, you know, the kind of stuff that we like. We like a good sing along, and we like, you know, just upbeat songs. I mean, they're often quite dark lyrically, but people don't realize that at the time because it's nice and bouncy. So
yeah.
Yeah,
there's definitely something there in the marketing that you need to work on with the earnest thing. I think that's great. I think some kind of T-shirt about like we used to be earnest, but you know we're okay
all right
now. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you know, he's earnest, or you know, maybe have arrows on the T-shirt. Like, they're earnest. I'm with Ernest, but I'm not Ernest. You know, it could really work that.
Well, I always say we did an online show a couple of years ago, and we were waiting to come on, sort of thing, and the host was doing the show and everything, and then it was one of the first ones I'd done, and Martin just sort of said like, just wait a minute, because you know we're the entertainment. And I thought at the time, oh, okay, right, well, rather than just us getting up and playing songs and being in amongst this for ourselves, I really sort of took that on board and thought, oh, okay, well, we're here to entertain. So every gig we do now, you know, we like to think we're very annoying to other bands that we play with, because I mean, if they choose to follow us, then it's one, you know, it can work out. Sometimes it works out good for them. We played one recently, and we went on one before last, and the fella sort of like took the audience and rolled with it and carried on. We have played with somebody before. We played with one who was due to do like a set of originals after us, and then gave up on that and went straight into the covers because we'd got people singing. So he decided that the sing-along way was the best way to go. So he ditched his own songs and went for the sing-along set instead, which was all right, quite telling for us.
You should be, but by all accounts, though, really, you should be the best, or one of the best support acts in the country, right? Because, you know, you've got this, you haven't got lots of kit or anything to set up. You know, you've got a great you know, repertoire of songs. They're not all covers, which is great, you know. So I mean, any band that is playing original material out there should be, you know, diving for you to support them on their, you know, nationwide tour. Do you not think? I mean, that
yeah, great if they want to. We won't nick their drum kit or borrow their basses.
Well, exactly. You're not going to mess up their equipment, are you? No, exactly. That's tremendous. And you might even sell their merch for them at half time. You know,
exactly,
it could be a really great deal.
Help them drink their rider. I mean, you know, all these things.
We'll definitely drink their rider.
help drink their rider. Fantastic. If you're looking for a band who will drink your rider for you,
look no further.
There's another T-shirt.
Yeah, they'd be naked without it. Oh, tremendous. What's the big hope for 2025? What do you hope to achieve this year that you didn't achieve last year?
Well, I mean, last year we did the Singles Club. Now, Singles Club started in 2022 because we decided that we were going to release a single every 6 weeks, and thought, okay, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Why not? We'll do a single every 6 weeks. And then it didn't really dawn on us until we were well deep into it that was going to be like 72 weeks that we just committed ourselves to, with all the recording and the artwork and everything that all had to be done. So that was a sort of a year and a bit out of our lives. And then we decided for this year, this is Martin's fault. You came up with this, which was like, instead of doing 24/7, we would do 25/8 to make it harder for ourselves. And we sort of said, well, what we'll do instead, we'll release an EP every 3 months. So we would do across the year, we're going to end up doing 12 songs. So if we do 4 3-track EPs, we'll end up doing 12 songs, which we've now worked out, because we worked this out the other day. That's one every 4 weeks rather than one every 6 weeks. So we've actually made it harder for ourselves.
My goodness.
It's worked all right. It's working all right so far. We've got 3 in the bag. We've got another 3 written. So I'm pretty confident, to be honest. We'll get them done.
Yeah, just as long as you don't stray into sort of prog rock territory, you'll be fine.
No,
I don't think there's much chance of that with Tony.
No, I think it. Yeah.
You're not going to find any Genesis in that collection, I tell you. So.
Oh, I've just written Dark Side of the Moon again.
Good.
It might take us a little bit longer than we thought.
Well, we did the first. We've worked out the first 3, and they're coming together at the moment. I might have sent you something earlier on as well. We worked out the first 3, and I said to Martin that they're just really sounding happy. Which if you listen to the album, sometimes they're not happy. So this is going to be the happy EP. But as soon as he told me these ones were happy, I then started into the not unhappy, but the I don't know whether it's angry or what it is for the next EP. So it's very dark. It's far darker the next one. Definitely.
So everything's a reaction to what came before, etc., which is always good. Do you find that actually sort of setting yourself that challenge and writing? I mean, it's often say that writing music is like exercising a muscle. Anything creative is like exercising a muscle. Do you find actually it makes it easier as you get into that, and you know that you've got to produce?
Yeah, I think having a deadline definitely helps. Of knowing we have to have it done by, and it's Tony is very prolific at writing stuff. He doesn't really talk about it as much, but he writes a lot of songs, and not all of them end up finished. So there's sometimes he's got ideas, and we're working it for a bit, and it's not really working. We'll leave that one for now, and we'll go into something else. Here's another one I've got in my back pocket, and then we'll do that. So I think it is always writing, and sometimes. Some songs come and you go, that's the one. That's us. Yeah. We can play it together, and we know that that's where it is.
What happens to all the bits that never get finished, Tony? Do you?
That's for next year's album. The outtakes.
Oh, right, I see.
Well, I might nick a phrase, and there's sometimes there's the odd phrase, and I will, like Mike says, I'll just have a stream of lines, and then sometimes I'll just nick a phrase out of there and think, oh, okay, where can I go with that? And then maybe after time, if I walk the dog, I'll have something in my head, and then the next line will come with it, and then the next line, and then I end up dictating things to my phone while I'm walking the dog and stuff like that. Sometimes they roll, and sometimes they'll just sit there as a phrase. I started on one the other day, and that's a phrase that I've had for a while, and it's just been sat there, and it's now it's developing into a song. Developed into a chorus first, and now it's working its way into a song. So yeah, that'd be. Yeah.
I love that. With all of that music behind you, and Martin's got his hidden away, but he's got an equal amount of a stash somewhere. What's your favourite lyric of all time? Then you must have a lyric that kind of inspired you to start writing in the first place.
Oh God! Well, as you say, there's so much there. Where would I go? That's one of those. That's one of those. How do you? That's like, how would you choose your favorite child?
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
It depends on the day of the week, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'd struggle. I could pick out. I could just go all the way.
Okay,
through.
maybe not a track then. Is there somebody that you know, as growing up or whatever, listening to, you thought, oh, they're just such a great lyricist. That you know, I love the way that they play with words.
Well, do you know what I mean? I had to go, but very rarely sort of along this. But Shane McGowan. I mean, we don't really sound. We're not anything like the Pogues or anything. But the way Shane would run lines into the next line, and you wouldn't see things coming. Dropkick Murphys do that as well. It's very much the Irish sort of thing, I think, and they're not really, you know, Irish born, but there's a lot of that sort of the weaving thing that comes on, and you think that's clever. And I'm just like Elvis Costello as well. Elvis Costello stuff is just so clever. Yeah, King of America. I was listening to King of America the other day, and some of the stuff on there is just amazing, as you say. Counting Crows lyrics as well. Some Counting Crows lyrics are fantastic.
People have quoted Counting Crows lyrics, you know, on here before as you know, some of the best. I think people that manage to ask complicated questions in a lyric without it sounding like they're asking a complicated question. That's the key to it, isn't it?
People don't see it coming.
Is she really going out with him? I don't know. It's just, you decide. You know, but it is. It's entirely that, isn't it? You know, having that ability. Just going back to kind of a final question, but just going back to the whole acoustic thing. And as I say, I've over the years, I started actually when I first started at the Festival Radio Association. Hi, anyone that saw me from those days or knew me from those days. And we used to do radio at festivals. I used to do a bandstand show. Fantastic. You know, we used to have different bands on the bandstand. And they were mainly bands that were sort of up and coming, etc. And then we tried to sneak one of the main headliners from the main stage on sort of undercover during the day to do something, which was always good fun. And they normally adopted some kind of different moniker so that people didn't know who they were. And we had people like Deacon Blue and whatever come on. But next to the bandstand one year, we ended up with a skip at one festival. And one band literally drove up, got out of their van. I don't know whether you're allowed to do this at festivals anymore, but I do wish it would come back if you can't. Open the doors, got into the skip and started playing, which I just thought was tremendous and had such a fantastic response. So I was just going to ask you,
would you play a skip? Yeah.
Would you play a skip? But where is the most obscure place that you have played?
Oh, I think I know the answer to that question. But so, it was an unusual gig. So the guy said, "I've got this festival going on. Would you like to play part of it?" And we said, "Sure." And so he gave us the date and everything. Anyway, we turned up, and it wasn't quite a festival. It was a care home that had a stage outside and one inside. So not really our target audience, if I'm being honest. But we were committed to play, so play we did. And
did they go for it? Did they enjoy it? Did they?
Well, I mean, we didn't get booed off, so you know.
No. The fellow that was organising it was supposed to be a band in the garden and a band inside. It was supposed to be staggered, but he must have messed up the running order. And at one point, we were playing at the same time as somebody else was playing outside, and the fella came in, and the bloke that was organising came in, and he just sort of looked at us. He just said, "Do you need that amp?" And Martin was like, "Yes, I do." And he went, "Oh," and walked off, all disappointed, back into the garden, which was about the other one. I thought you were going to go. That to be true, that was one of the only ones Martin's organised. So this is why Martin.
So see, I don't get involved in that anymore. So
the other one we played, we turned up at a pub in Wokingham, didn't we?
Okay.
And we didn't realise, but basically we were setting up for sort of like the early evening, and there was a wake going on in the back of the bar, and during our set, people were coming out. Old boys were coming out in tears, weren't they? Walking past, it was horrible. It was really funny.
Oh, You thought you'd moved them to tears.
Yeah.
Oh
dear,
my word!
wasn't
Oh
good.
dear, oh dear. What great stories! What great stories! I mean, I think if you know, if you're ever organising a gig around a care home, you know, the important thing is to count heads before you start and after, just to make sure you haven't lost anybody within the proceedings. But so what a great idea! If anyone wants to start a national tour of care homes,
Lord.
I think that might not be a great idea. Maybe just knock that one on its head. Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to yourselves. You've got some music out, as we say. You've got an album out. Just finished today by giving that a little plug, so people can go and check out the music. The album's called?
The album is called Singles Club, which is the 12 tracks we released as singles last year. Current single out is called All the Drugs. All the Drugs is now getting played over in America and Canada and everywhere, which is great. Everything is sort of on, everything's available on Spotify, all the streaming services. Look us up on the socials. We always say it's a bit of an issue with the fact that if you Google search Naked Without It and Singles Club, you have to be very careful about what comes up when you search Naked Without It and Singles Club. So
very, very careful on that.
aim for the logo, and you'll be all right. But
so we are NWI Band on most of the social networking. So
there you go. That's the key. That's the key there. NWI Band. I shall make sure that we are connected on the Instagram and whatever else.
Lovely.
Folks, this has been the wonderful Naked Without It. Tony, Martin, thank you for coming along to chat today. Please do go and check out the album. And if you enjoy the music, do have a chat with them online, and maybe even suggest somewhere that they can go and play. Not a care home, no, or a wake. If we can try and avoid those two, that would be tremendous. Thank you. I'll be back with more of the same soon, more my music. Until then, thanks for joining us. Bye for now.